Hey everybody, today I am making a long-awaited video to address cracking in concrete. We get a ton of comments on our existing videos asking about cracks in concrete and how to fix them. So what's important to understand is concrete is extremely hard and excellent under compression, but it has no flexibility, as well as concrete repair products. So you're not going to put a 1/4 inch overlay on top of a concrete substrate with a crack in it and expect that to prevent the slab from continuing to move. And the crack is going to come through and a thin overlay like that. So what this video today, we're going to show you a really good technique to bridge over the crack with some fiberglass mesh that's used a lot for stucco, and I'll put a link below where you can find something like this. And the technique's very similar to taping drywall joints in a house. You pre-fill the crack, and then you put a flexible fiber type tape across the crack, and that's going to help prevent that crack reflecting through the overlay product that you put on top of the concrete. It's not a guaranteed fix, but it is a very good method to help prevent any cracks from coming back through once you put an overlay on. So the first step you want to do with most cracks is to prepare it by removing any loose, deteriorated concrete from the crack. Sometimes if it's just a small hairline crack, a pressure wash is enough just to clean it out. But if it's really crumbly and wide and there's some height differences, get a jackhammer in there and really open it up. That's going to let the repair material get down in there and fill up that crack to help bridge the two slabs together. And once your prep's done, you're going to mix up the TF structural and pre-fill any really deep cracks. That's going to make it a lot easier to put this mesh on top. Once that's set, which is only about half an hour to an hour, you lay the pre-measured fiber tape along the top of the crack and just pour some wet TF structural right on top of it and start working it in and smoothing it out, much like you see here. So the goal with this step is just to do a nice thin layer to secure this fiber tape to the substrate so that when you do your skin coat over top of it, you're not going to see the repair that you did on this crack. You can see we're just bridging over an expansion joint there. That's going to be saw cut in once we're done. Now here's some wider, deeper cracks that we're going to pre-fill and then just put the mesh tape right on top of the TF structural while the product is still wet. This is really a user preference. Sometimes if it's too deep and a little too wet of product, when you're putting the mesh on, it can be a bit difficult to get it nice and smooth and even. So yeah, it's really how you want to do it. You can make it wet and put the tape right into that, or pre-fill the crack, let that stiffen up, then put the tape on top and do another wet application. And you can see there too as well the joint between the two cracks. We really removed that and got underneath the substrate with the jackhammer just so we can help rebuild and restabilize that portion of the concrete slab to help prevent any further movement. And yeah, you can just see it there. When the tape's wet, you see how it tends to bunch up a little bit and be a little tougher to work with. So again, that's just user preference. If you want to pre-fill those joints, scrape them nice and flush, and then let that set up a bit and put your fiber tape on top, and then pour the wet TF structural into it. So here we're doing it in one step. Both work the same. Again, the goal is just to get it as flat as possible. You're just securing that fiber tape to the substrate. Again, if you think of drywall taping, it's very similar to that, except for you only have to do one application, and then when we skim coat over top of these slabs afterwards, that's going to hide all your crack repairs. Here you can see a bit of a thinner crack. This one we didn't have to do very much mechanical preparation beforehand, so we're just laying the tape right on top of it and then pouring the wet TF structural versus pre-filling this crack and then putting the tape on top. So again, very flexible in the way that you apply this type of procedure, but the main thing to note is just what we're trying to accomplish here, and that's to put a flexible material on top of a very rigid substrate to help prevent that crack from coming back through the thin overlay. So here it is about half an hour later. You can see how thin we went, just enough to bury that fiber tape underneath the wet TF structural. And we're just going to wait for about an hour to let that set up. Here's the other job we were working on earlier. You can see we already ran a saw cut through the one joint there. But that's basically what you're going to do. You're going to go and prep all the slabs, prep all the cracks, get the fiber taped down, and then about an hour or so later, you can see we're applying the final skim coat right on top of that crack bridging we did. And you can see how easy it is to do that. It's a very thin crack repair, so we're just troweling right over it. Here's the driveway that we were showing you earlier. And again, this final skim coat is going to be troweled right on top of those crack repairs, and the product bonds extremely well to itself, so there's no issue there. But yeah, we have other videos that show the skim coat technique as well. This video is really to show you how to bridge cracks, and a really good technique to help prevent hairline cracks from coming back through. Again, it's not perfect, but it gives you a much better chance of success versus just covering a crack with nothing. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.